Okay, I want to start this one up. This is really important. I want to put this in this important location. Here we go. I was not trained in handling my male physiology and the pleasures of the body. There was no conversation. There was no training. There was no coaching about this powerful thing. Oh my gosh. It's so powerful. It's so wonderful. It's so pleasurable. The man and the woman. The man has a feel good and the woman has a feel good of the body. And it is pleasant and delightful. And it's a gift from God. And it's a happy thing. It's a positive thing. But in the messed up American churchianity that I was raised in, there was no practice, there was no training, there was no wisdom like from the scriptures and from the truth of God. There was no education and flowing communication regarding the pleasures of the body. And I was a crisis pregnancy. And it wasn't until I was 40 years old that I discovered all the details of my daddy's life, the man who conceived me, and my mommy's life, the lady that carried me. It wasn't until I was 40 years old that I was developing a total understanding. Both of my parents were happy, cheerful, kind, pleasure givers. And they just happened to be sharing pleasure together. But one of them was already in a marriage covenant. So when I was conceived, it was a scary tragedy, and my mommy was trying to commit suicide, pregnant with me. So, one of the focuses in my life is just solving the problem, and at least operating more safely and more wise about the wonderful thing of Genesis 2:25. Genesis 2:25. Now, you might think the Bible is stupid, and I did for many years. But then I discovered that the Hebrew scriptures hold 200 to 300 predictions that all point to one event. The event is not a government. The event is not global warming. The event is not an ice age. The event is not a war. The event is not an earthquake. The event is just one little person. One person who lives for about 33 years. And that person is known and famous for being able to send spirits away from people who are truly insane, personality disorders, really problem souls, problem personalities. This guy can send a spirit away from a person who has a mental illness personality problem. And this guy is also known for walking into town and healing the entire hospital. I mean, in the writings it says they laid out all of their sick and he healed all of them. And then he went into another town and you won't believe what he did. In the next town, he healed the whole hospital again and again and again until he's got 10,000 people following him into the stinking desert because they're observing truly supernatural things manifesting from this guy. Now, the other part of his story is that he was a super public figure. He was a very controversial public figure. He was publicly executed with potentially hundreds of people watching. He was publicly executed. And then he was publicly seen alive across 40 days by many different people in certain meetups. And then he was seen by 500 people at once when he literally levitated and disappeared through the clouds. After his disappearance, two beings dressed somehow in white or shining clothes, two beings said, "Why are you country folks staring up into the sky? Go do the things that he told you to do. He will return in the same amazing and unusual way that he left." So there's this promise from spirit beings that he's going to come back through the clouds. So a good word is like, if you're wondering where Jesus is, look to the clouds, because he's going to be seen by all humans at once. Time and space is going to go away, and all humans are going to perceive that Yeshua is coming back through the clouds into the human realm. So anyhow, that's the rumor. I mean, you don't have to believe in it. You can spit on it and slander it like I did for a really, really long time. And I'm telling you, my awareness of the scriptures and my awareness of this Yeshua, who's a friend, Jesus of Nazareth is a friend who knows your inner self. Because of my friendship with God, I love the woman that I promised to be married to with increasing measures as the days and years go on, because I can see the life of this amazing girl whose daddy died when she was 2 and who was subjected to various types of stresses, but also who developed an enormous creativity and an understanding through literature, through reading and studying and receiving people's expressions and dreams and just expressive stuff. So anyhow, my life is better on the inside. It's happier. For many, many years, I was planning to quietly commit suicide so that my messed up life is not bothering other people's lives. Because from the womb, when my mother was so terrified, I wanted to stop existing. I didn't want her to be sad. I wanted to comfort my mother. But I was literally vibrating with her spirit of terror and fear and remorse and sadness and layers and layers and layers of just nasty sadness and terror and frustration. So, I look back across my life, I see that I had 2 parents that were under what I call friendly, cheerful promiscuity spirits. I mean, those spirits were not coming in some kind of pushy, negative, nasty way. It was all friendly. It was all friendly and cheerful and positive. And the churchianity people around me, nobody was courageous enough to talk about me in my youth and the behavior and the spirit, you know, the spirits that were over my parents. No one had discernments about that stuff. And so when I was about 6 years old, I was introduced to very, very kind and friendly pleasure sharing when I was little. And it was nice, and it really felt nice. And it was a fun and friendly thing. Now, of course, it was a thing that was hidden. It's not something that we were reporting to our parents, but our parents had not given a happy understanding of how powerful the feel-good of the body is. And there is a place in Song of Solomon where you got two people that are just, oh my gosh, they're so delighted and hungry to be together. And in that book, 3 times there's this amazing statement that I had never seen until I was in my 40s. It goes like this: do not awaken love, desire, passion, arousal. Do not awaken the hungry feel-good of being naked and happy with your person. Do not awaken the feel-good of the body until it is time. It says that 3 times. It says it in chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 8. And the way that it is presented is saying, just as you stare at the beautiful deer that climb up the hillsides, and it's such an amazing sight, so also I draw your attention to me and what I'm about to say. Do not get your body excited until it is time. And that's a friendly statement that can be made from parents to children. Even in the description of, like, the reason why mommy jumps on daddy's lap, the reason why daddy runs in the room and kisses mommy's neck, is it just feels so good to have your own person. And that's how we were designed. But our friend Jesus of Nazareth was so concerned about crazy human beings and all the troubles that we're going through. He was so concerned about humans that he didn't even take the pleasure for himself. He could have taken a woman and enjoyed a woman. And oh my gosh, his body was definitely able to enjoy a woman. But he did not go in that direction because he felt so concerned for the human beings. And that's just kind of neat. So I wasn't given the option in my youth of being told, now, your body is really exciting and wonderful. And you can choose to be like Yeshua and walk right through childhood and right into adulthood and remain a single person that's literally vibing with the universe, vibing with the spirit of truth and love and loving kindness, and caring for people, and having many friends and much travels and much acquaintances and even many miracles. You can choose to live a life in singleness like Yeshua, which will give you a better afterlife. You're going to die. Everything is going to die. Everything is going to be burned away. Everything. Everything beautiful that you can see in this world is going to be ended. And there's going to be a brand new heaven and earth. So when that brand new heaven and earth happens, if you walk single like Yeshua, you're going to have more fun, more miracles, more amazing stuff. if you walk single like Yeshua. But that's not something that you're commanded to do. That's something that you can do if you feel motivated by the Spirit, and we can help you. But if you decide that it's time for you to have your own person to enjoy, well, we'll also help you with that, because that's a super happy part of life, to have your own person to share the feel good and the flow with. It's really, really, really nice. It's a gift from God. So no one ever gave me that type of pleasant description for me to reason about and think about. And I remember the times in my life when I felt aroused and I just wished that I could have a girl-woman friend to like share the fascination of this arousal with. I remember like thinking, I wish that I could just have somebody that is really kind and that who likes me to share and enjoy this fascinating enjoyment. It's really, really nice. It's so nice. It's so pleasant. And I mean, that was just like an honest, happy feeling that I have, that I wanted to share this. I really did want to share myself, but I wasn't given like a conversational training from parents or elders in how to talk about that stuff in a happy way. So I literally ended up resorting to what you might call a hidden lifestyle. And to me, that's a tragedy. That didn't have to happen that way. I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned over many years, I've learned that in hearing the stories of kids in Africa whose parents have been machine gunned by death squads, and you've got these 11 to 13-year-old kids, and they literally are taking care of their little brothers and sisters. Their parents are dead, and they're even picking up orphans off the street, and they figure out how to feed them, where to put them to sleep, how to put clothes on them. Young people, 11 to 15 years old, are powerful humans, and they can function even on their own, because the human will and the human ability is very, very strong. And all these people that are afraid of talking about the most natural, plain, ordinary stuff, like, I've had enough with these people who declare themselves to be spiritual, and they're just kind of like avoiding primary issues, and they're just hanging around together. And I can literally feel I'm sitting in a room full of people who have all these secrets in their lives. I can literally feel the secrets in their lives that they're not sharing with other people. And I'm like, this feels really stupid. I quit. I want to go somewhere else. I want to start a new group of friends. And that's my attitude. And that's why I present the clitoris and Christianity. Because the clitoris in the woman is just a really neat part of our human family. It's just a nice part of us. A man body has a big stiffy on the outside, and the woman body has the big stiffy on the inside that surrounds the sword sheath. That's what the word vagina means, the sword sheath. And the best part of the woman is the description of the vulva, which is the whole of the beauty of the woman part. And I mean, I was never given a conversational ability to talk about this various neat stuff. And this is not the biggest things in the world. This is not what This is not what puts food on the table. This is not what nurtures and trains the children. This is not what gives education to the community. No, the feel good of the body and the flow of the body is not, training and educating the community, but it's a powerful part of life, and it's an interesting part of life. So, my attitude towards the churchianity people is like, look, if your people who are all nervous and don't have a means of communicating with your children and your young adults that are growing up and they're flowing with all this information on their devices, if you don't have a conversational ability about, with this stuff, then I don't want to waste my time with you, because I am deeply concerned about crisis pregnancies. I'm concerned about people who have been formerly in drug addiction, who end up getting free and getting a refreshed life, and then 3 years later, they're dead of a drug overdose, not because they've returned to their old lifestyle, but because they have so many nervous things hidden inside, and they don't have a practice of sharing with other people about what they're concerned about, which is the basis for early Christianity. Conscience cleansing honesty times with this special communion cup, which is rejoining ourselves with invisible Yeshua and with one another. They were private, closed meetings of people full of ecstasy and full of beautiful ideas from the Holy Spirit. Hey, the Holy Spirit's been telling me to go to Sebring because there's something going on. There's a person who's suffering or something, and I just feel like, can a few of us go to Sebring and be led by the Spirit, because there's a person there, and there's something special that's going to happen for all of us. That is the way of the early church. Intimate gatherings. They had public meetings where they would teach people about stuff, and they would share their testimonies, and they would sing and praise when there wasn't a bunch of heavy persecutions. They had public meetings, but the primary meeting was a closed meeting where it's like, okay, how did you go crazy since our last communion time? And are there any problems? And are there any worries? Are there any things that you're sad about? Is there anything that the Holy Spirit has showed you that's very, very important? Because every single person, including the children, have Holy Spirit revelations. There's no such thing as a junior Holy Spirit. The beautiful love of God, King of the universe, is coming to every single living soul. And that Spirit is a Spirit who loves everybody. That Spirit is the Spirit of loving kindness, has no gender structure, but is the loving and lovely one. Yes, yes, yes. So, I'm constantly describing the reasons for the clitoris and Christianity. It's a way of boldly putting first those things that might have prevented my mother from being in a state of absolute horror, trying to jump off bridges and kill herself with medical drugs. It might have prevented her panic and all the stuff that happened, and even the secrecy. There was a secret about my origins for 25 years. Everybody was so nervous they didn't even talk about the beauty of a man coming along and starting a family around one baby. He decided to start a family around one conception of a baby that had no father ability, because the father was just gone, not available. And this is my life, is trying to converse and describe and bring solutions to describe the invisible realms and the spirit beings. There's spirit beings that you can make friends with that help you. There are spirit beings that hate humans, that want humans to suffer and be self-destructive and hurt one another and punch one another and attack the human form and become killing machines in basic training in military. There are spirit beings that want people to rise up in political opposition and draw boundaries and prevent people from crossing boundaries and all of this stuff. While the other people who are connected with the spirit of loving kindness know that they're going to be killed for the truth that they're carrying. And this is my ongoing story and my desire to help people. So if you are a person who would like to help 13 to 17-year-old kids that are aging out of foster care, if you would feel motivated to start a house and literally put your life and your resources into houses all around North America that are trained in specific conversational structures about both the feel good and the flow of the body and the afterlife and the spirit realm and the operations of spirit beings. Those are my two fortes: the flow and the feel good and how nice it is, and the operations of the spirit realm. And I'm telling you, whatever we do is going to take courage. You're going to have to say no to comforts and, desires and pleasures of various sorts, but you're going to have pleasures that are amazing because you're going to see people's lives in strength and satisfaction that were on the